Representation in media for the LGBTQ society has always been a bit thin on the ground. One of the reasons was Section 28 by the then Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Some may have argued that Section 28 caused heteronormativity to become mainstream. This has had a negative effect on LGBTQ media products, and especially in comics. Section 28 was cancelled in 2003, and it's been 20 years since then, so representation in all forms, especially comics, should be different, right? Right! The point of this documentary is hopefully to point out good representation of LGBTQ characters in graphic novels, because it's got to be loads, right? A great example of this is in Marvel's Young Defenders, in which two twins, one of them being a trans superhero who can control snow and ice, and the other being a gay man who controls force fields. This is a great representation, and their name is Snowflake and Safe Space. Like the derogatory terms used for LGBTQ communities.
Left wing Snowflake.
Is this the best we have? Another great example that's a little more well known is Catwoman, who's actually, fun fact, bisexual, which is great representation and absolutely lovely normalization. Apart from the fact that the only reason she is bisexual is to show she's untrustworthy, sleeps around, and that she's a villain, which is a terrible stereotype of most bisexuals and is pretty hurtful to the rest of the community and the views of the general public.
What a slag.
Another example is Wiccan Maximoff, son of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. And like his mother, he has magical powers. And he is actually gay. The only problem with this is the fact that in multiple comics it is shown that the reason he is given birth to is by a literal demon named Mephisto, and giving the undertones that gay people are of the devil, against religion, and someone Christians should hate. That's not true, is it, Mary? Lastly is one of the Robins, Tim Drake. He's the third Robin, and he is actually bisexual, which is very nice. Apart from, if you look at how Robin in most comics acts and dresses, quite flamboyantly, some may say camp, and this links in with stereotypes of people acting flamboyant and linking it to being a homosexual, which actually, around the Comics Code Authority time, Robin and Batman had to get put into girlfriends due to Robin acting too flamboyantly. But it doesn't matter about the heroes themselves or their names or their history, because no one really cares about them anymore. What people care about is who knows them. And surely people nowadays, where things like representation is such an important part, someone's heard of them, right? I just have some people that I want to check, firstly if you know them, and also how they fit into kind of the LGBTQ society. Have you heard of the two twin superheroes called Snowflake and Safe Space?
No.
No.
No idea about
No
that.
idea at all.
I know that they are heavily stereotyped characters that have faced a lot of backlash, but that's everything.
Have you heard of Wiccan?
The name rings a bell, but no. I don't know Wickham either.
No.
Have you heard of Catwoman?
Yes.
Did you know she was gay?
No, I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how she fits in
Pardon?
to the LGBTQ community? Do you know what she is?
She's bisexual.
Yes.
What do you know about Catwoman?
Meow.
That's all you know?
Yeah.
Do you know how Harley Quinn?
Yes, I've Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
What do you like about how her and Poison Ivy are represented?
Well, it's obviously a lot less toxic than Joker and Harley Quinn.
No, Harley Quinn, yeah.
Do you know how she fits in?
No.
Yes. Harley Quinn is bisexual.
What are your thoughts on her representation in the media and such?
Not a clue, to be fair. I don't read DC comics.
I asked a lot of people of differing comics knowledge, but I needed to ask someone who knew little about comics, but more about the activism side and more about the community. So, I asked the first person that popped into my head. Ruby. First one is Snowflake and Safe Space.
Yes, I have heard of those. And yes, the second question,
Where did you hear it from?
Facebook.
Aha, that's really interesting. Do you remember what it was saying about them?
It was people complaining about it, mostly like right-wing people who were complaining about it. But yeah, that was it basically. And then also obviously left-wing people complaining about it because they were like, it's just like demeaning.
Yeah, the backlash and stuff. Great. Have you ever heard of Iceman?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Harley Quinn.
Yes. And yeah, I know that she is she's canonically LGBT. Canonically LGBT, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Catwoman.
Yes, but I didn't know she was
Yeah.
fruity.
And lastly, Tim Drake, also known as Robin.
Yes, and what? I did not know.
Yeah. One of the Robins were gay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Not free. Anyway, last question. Do you have any great examples of LGBTQ characters in comics, or do you have any stories about?
I mean, really the only ones that I can think of is Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, which, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's pretty iconic, pretty powerful, I'd say. But then at the same time, they're villains, like maybe redeemable villains, but they're still meant to be the people we're not rooting for. And I'm like sure, from what I know, that whole relationship comes from the place of cheating as well, which also is like a misconception about bisexual people as well, which is maybe not the best representation, but it is a representation.
But what does it mean? Well, all of this is connected. All of these characters are connected to someone who's been here for a very, very long time. And you don't live life without being a little corrupted, especially by the Claws and Margaret Thatcher. All of this, despite being disbanded 20 years ago, still has an effect now for some reason. It's still corrupted our media, and media that's been here for ages. And you can't make corrupted media better. That's why you should start with... Shit, that's high. New media is the way forward. New ideas, new people, for a new age. You can't just shoehorn some representation in something old and call it groundbreaking. For representation, you've got to set representation in the start. You can't just shoehorn it in, like we've seen throughout this whole documentary. There is a bit of hope, but we're gonna have to try really hard to get to it.